Welcome to CallCore Conversations, everybody. Today is a very special episode. We have Adam Young, CEO, founder of Ringba, as well as best-selling author of Paper Call Revolution. A lot of people in our space, 99% of the people in our space, have heard of your company, have worked with your company, most everybody. But for the ones that don't, that will be seeing this, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about Ringba, what you guys do.
Sure. So Ringba is a call tracking platform that's specifically designed for performance marketing. And we service 4 different types of customers: people who sell calls, people who buy calls, people who trade calls, and people who are marketers. That might be a marketer for a big company or a small company or an agency that needs to track their media spend and figure out what's driving consumer initiated inbound calls. And then my background goes way back. I've been in the affiliate marketing and performance marketing space for over 20 years now. I started as an affiliate in my parents' basement, and then eventually wanted to build technology that provides opportunities and a platform for people to grow their own businesses in the space.
Awesome. When you started Ringba, what were some of the initial challenges you guys had? How did you overcome them? I got to imagine building, we run a call center service, consulting service, and those come with their own set of problems. But I know that software companies is a whole different set.
I mean, any problem you could imagine, we probably faced it. Building a software company is a grueling process. Finding the people who can actually build what you want to build is a challenge. Getting people to use your software when it hasn't achieved critical mass yet is also a problem. We face significant challenges with convincing people that we were going to be around for a really long time. And with a service like ours, and where we're powering people's businesses, that level of trust is really, really important. And so it took years to get traction and to prove ourselves in the market. But we faced all kinds of challenges, just like any other business would. How are we going to fund the business? How are we going to find the talent we need? How are we going to, grow a customer service department that actually understands what our clients do? How are we going to overcome technical challenges and compete with companies that have hundreds of millions of dollars in funding? It was a really trying process, and it's still super challenging today. But just like any other company, we fought for years, and whatever we didn't have in resources or talent, we made up for in just hard work.
Yeah. At the beginning, was the goal to make it as big as it is now, or were you just looking at like getting something off the ground? In your book, you talk about being in the pay-per call space and finally just getting tired of like the revolving door of you never know if the campaign you're working today is going to be here tomorrow. Was the goal to make it something big initially, or just something that was sustainable and profitable?
Always something big. And I think setting your targets high is really, really important when you start a business. And if you're going to do something, you need to focus on being excellent at it. And the only real way to do that in business is to set your goals really, really high. And I think that we've just barely gotten started. And so when you say like Ringba is big, I appreciate that as a compliment. But man, we are nowhere near where we need to be or at the scale we want to achieve. And we constantly push that bar higher and higher and higher. And the farther we get, the more that I realize we have even farther to go. So it's always been on my mind how to build a massive business. And it's something we talk about regularly, and it's something we focus on. And then we also try and figure out how to do it faster.
Yeah, I think CallCore, we've been open for 12 years, and we're just kind of now reaching the critical point of like, we know we can do more, but it's always been this homegrown thing, right? Like everybody here was hired from within. So it's like a lot of training that comes with that. And we're now reaching this point where it's like, okay, we're ready to scale. For businesses like that maybe started to just be, which was what CallCore was, to be just a profitable, sustainable business. Now we're going into we want to scale and make something of ourselves. What would be 3 or 4 things that you think people should focus on when you're thinking of growing something large? It's easy to make something, well, easy is maybe not the case, but it's easier to make something profitable. It's harder to make something that you're going to invest the money back into to scale it outward. So what would some tips for that be?
First and foremost, I think leaders and entrepreneurs need to get comfortable hiring people that are better than them at everything they do. And so my goal when I look at recruiting, especially now, is how do I find people who are better than me at what they do? And then to take a step back, to give up control and to let them deliver the results that you hired them to deliver. And that's a real challenge for a lot of entrepreneurs. And as a business scales, you're not in the weeds so much. Like at the beginning, I was in the code. I helped write language files, and I helped with Amazon, and I did sales, and I did marketing, and I did everything, right? Like that's the beginning. But today I try to stay out of those day-to-day activities and to bring on people who are much better than me at those things, and then to learn from them and let them do their thing. And I think once you hit a certain scale, unless you're willing to do that, it becomes very hard to build a business that will grow itself. Mm-hmm. And at Ringba, I mean, sure, I'm the CEO and founder, but I mean, the business grows because of the team we have, and that team builds whether I show up for work or not. And I do every day, but, like that's my greatest accomplishment with Ringba, is assembling our team. And that's what I spend a lot of my time thinking about, is who we need and how we get to the future.
Did you struggle a lot when you were initially handing over the ropes or did you just cut it off the day you were ready to do that?
I think we had some really strong people, and on the technical side, it was pretty easy for me to let go. I still get involved in product design, and I always have, and I think I always will. But when it comes to like actually building the things, I know how they work. I'm a developer, and I have been for a really long time. But I try to stay out of the decision making related to what components are we going to use? How how is it going to function? My goal is the end result. I say like, hey, like I want to help our clients make X amount of money, or I want to build something that allows our clients to get a certain outcome. And then I hand that off to the team and let them figure out how to actually do it. And it was a challenge. I'm still involved in a lot of our marketing things. I have a hard time giving up control of that. I've been better about it though. And I think as we continue to grow, we'll grow as fast as like I grow as a leader. Like the faster I'm able to let these things go, the faster those parts of the organization will grow. And I think when you're building a business, your biggest competition is actually yourself. It's not external factors, it's internal factors. And once an entrepreneur realizes that, once I realized that, it became a lot easier for me to grow our business, because I just started thinking like, what's my behavior? How do I change that behavior? How do I get out of everyone's way? And if you have great people who are smart and they love what they do and they want to do a great job, you need to get out of their way and empower them. And the moment you do that is the moment you start to get much better results.
This episode of CallCore Conversations is brought to you by Whitetail. Are you tired of low answer rates and inefficiencies slowing down your team? It's time to transform your contact center with Whitetail. Whitetail specializes in helping you get a hold of leads more efficiently. Its advanced software is designed to boost your phone call answer rates and supercharge your agent efficiency. Imagine connecting with more prospects and closing more deals, all without the usual hassle. That's not all. Whitetail offers powerful texting functionality and cutting-edge AI tools to elevate your agent's performance. With Whitetail's platform, you can redefine your strategies and see a noticeable uptick in your overall answer rates.
Learn more today at ytel.com.
Sounds like company culture is very important at Ringba. That is the number one priority over here. I left for a little bit to go do some consulting with another company, and it was like a culture shock to realize how differently some companies operate. And I came back relatively quickly and realizing that I appreciated the culture that was here. Tell us, for the people that are building a new business and trying to, the focus at the beginning for a lot of people is like, try not to lose a lot of money, get it up. And that becomes sometimes stressful. And I know that when that stress is there, company culture sometimes can go to the side. What are some strategies you guys implement to really focus on company culture, making that the priority of the company?
So it starts with mission. And I think a lot of small companies or startups, they fail to define a mission, or they pay lip service to a mission. But the mission is critically important because it defines why you show up to work every day and why your team is doing what they're doing. And you can't recruit really high quality talent without a mission that is bigger than yourself. You're never going to recruit the most amazing talent if your goal is to make a bunch of money and retire. Like, no one can get behind that mission. And so at Ringba, our mission is to help our clients grow through incremental revenue. And what that means is, how do we build technology that helps our clients grow their business and allows them to scale and make more money? And whenever we build something or do something, we have that mission in mind. And so once you start to see your mission proliferate and you start to see results, it really helps you get over the stress of running the day-to-day business or the finances or those things. All it really took for us is to see one customer that we helped grow their business. And we were like, wow, if we can do this 1,000 times over, 10,000 times over, we can have this incredible impact on our customers, their families, and the lives of the people that they work with. And then you realize it all becomes worth it. And that level of fulfillment and drive for us has always been more important than money. And the more we focus on the mission, the more money we make. And so it's interesting that way. As you let go of control, the business will grow. As you let go of, hey, we're doing this for money, and you do it for a reason that's beyond yourself, the business will grow. You actually will make more money. But the mission has to be real. It has to make sense. And you have to have buy-in from your people. Like, they have to believe in it. It has to make sense to them. And then beyond that, having a really strong company culture around values is super important. What's important to your company, how you think, what everyone's purpose is. And my goal, and I've been working on this a lot lately, is to define all these things in such a way that they're easy to understand and that people will make decisions the way I want them to make decisions without ever talking to me. And if that's the case, and you hire smart people and they believe in the mission and they have strong values, whether you're big or you're small, they'll make decisions the way you want them to, and the business will grow itself. And I think most entrepreneurs don't focus on this at the beginning because they're like, we need to make money. We need to make money. Yes. And that's true, right? Like, without money, you can't grow the business. But from day one, you can define these things and rally a team around it on a mission. And then it becomes like people working towards a cause. And that really changes how people think and work and how productive they are. It truly makes a difference.
Yeah, I think you kind of have a couple types of people if you don't set that culture. You have the people that are coming to work because they have to come to work and they have to pay bills. And then you get a group like your group, like our group, who is completely invested in the success of the company, which is a game changer. Clint, our owner, as I was coming up, it was this very kind of cornered process. And at some point he just said, here's everything. Here's the books. Here's what we do. Here's how we're spending money. Like, if I want you to do this, here's how we're going to do it as a team. Everything is in the open for you guys to do that. And that mindset has taken us substantially farther than it being this very cornered process, which has been helpful. If you could rewind 8 years and give advice to yourself on day one of starting Ringba, what would be the advice you gave yourself?
Don't build a software company.
It's very hard. It is a very complicated process.
Bro, I mean, I was a media buyer and doing a lot of click arbitrage and doing very well. And so used to being able to build these campaigns and scale them and see results very quickly. And with a software company, your results don't come for a really long time. And you have to invest so much money, so much time, so much energy. And in the end, sure, like everyone's like, oh, wow, like you said, like, look at Ringba, you guys have done really well and you're big and whatever. The pain and suffering that was required to get to that point was excruciating, and it takes a lot of resolve. Now, am I proud of it? Absolutely. I love what we do. I love serving our clients. It's like super amazing to me, and I'm very proud of our team. But I would definitely do something easier, I think. I know the answer that you're looking for is like, what could I tell my younger self that would really make a difference in my progress? I think the answer to that is actually not a business. It's not a business answer. It's a personal one, and that's to stop and rethink your priorities on a personal level. And I did that a little over a year ago, and I've done it before. But this time I took it extremely seriously, and the outcomes I've had in business have been amazing. And it's funny because my priorities used to be like number one, business, everything else, whatever. My priorities now are health, education, relationships, then business, in that order, non-negotiable. And the outcomes I've seen in our business and my personal life and my health and all these other places have been incredible. And so I think if younger Adam 10 years ago knew that if business wasn't the number one priority, that he'd move much faster and make a lot more money and have a bigger impact, it would have been awesome to see that. But I think it's hard for an entrepreneur to stop and say, you know what, at 12 o'clock on a Tuesday, I'm going to go to this Pilates class no matter what. And then to tell a CEO of a Fortune 500 company that you can't take his call during that period of time, and not compromise ever is a really complicated thing to do. But for me, the results of that shift have been fantastic. And so that's actually the advice I'd give myself 10 years ago.
It's interesting to hear that because I think that's pretty standard for a lot of people that I talk to, is that they started, and I'm kind of in the bucket that you were originally in, which is just like work hard and that's all that matters, and you'll get your results later and you can take care of that stuff later. But coincidentally, I'm now in my 30s and starting to have random health issues all the time. And I'm like, I really need to start. I came from a family that was not that well off, right? And, if we were going to the doctor, we were going to the emergency room. Right? We didn't have health insurance, that kind of deal. And I kind of grew up with that same mindset. I was like, I start to notice myself caring less about putting the hours in, but I'm just getting more and more stressed about getting stuff done rather than just taking a step back. So in the last 3 or 4 months or so, I've really taken a step back, spent time with my kids, try to draw a hard line in this is the time that we get off every day. And I do that for my team. It's easier said than done, though, I think sometimes. So try and draw that hard line. To your point, I think it is very hard when you have, especially a big client calling after hours and you're like, you want to pick it up, but you're trying to keep the line in the sand. And I agree. If you open that door, if it's an emergency, it's an emergency, you have to take the call.
Well, I think, to address that as an entrepreneur, I am on 24/7, 365. I was recently on vacation with my girlfriend's family, and her brother-in-law was like, hey, you gonna sit at the table and just like work on that laptop all day? I'm like, yeah, until our activity time. Yeah, absolutely. Like, of course. But, when you're on 24/7 and you have responsibilities, that's why it's so important to commit to your priorities. I do my workouts in the middle of the day. That's when I like them the best. I'm down 35 pounds in the last year. I'm in the best shape I've been in since I was a junior Olympian when I was 17 years old. And I just haven't compromised on that commitment, because no matter what, I'm going to work from the time I wake up until the time I go to bed. If a customer calls me at 9 o'clock at night, I'm generally going to take the call. And so if I make sure that I won't give up on those priorities, then I'm able to serve everyone in my life much, much better. And when my body's in better shape, my mind is in better shape. When my mind is in better shape, I can get more work done faster. The hours I spend working, I'm more productive. In your case, I don't have kids. I don't mean to overstep here, but like, if your body is in great shape and your mind is in great shape, you're more present with your children. You're also setting a great example for them. Like, hey, my dad is committed to his priorities and his health, and it teaches them for the future. I feel the same way about our team. Like, our team knows about my journey, and I want to inspire them as well, so that their lives are better and they can achieve what they want. And so really defining those priorities, but mostly making that commitment to yourself is super, super important, and then never giving up on it. And it's really hard to do. But once you create that habit and you refuse to change, the results keep compounding. And I can actually work more now, and I'm much, much more productive. I have kyphosis and a little bit of scoliosis from sitting in front of computers my whole life. Yeah, you know, we all do. And I used to work through pain, and I wasn't very productive when I worked through the pain, but I was like, I have to grind. I'm committed to my customers and my team.
Yeah.
And those hours I spent in pain, if I just would have had my priorities in a different order, I wouldn't have been able to accomplish that work in a third of the time without pain. And I would have had plenty of time to focus on my health, right? And so it's hard to get started and to do that. But once you get the routine in place and you commit, the outcomes are way better than I think most people can imagine.
Yeah. I've been paying for a gym membership for 2.5 years. I haven't gone one time.
Oh, no.
I'm paying for it to be like, and Clint and my CTO, John, keep bringing it up. Why are you paying for it? It's like, because I have to have something there to like start to push myself along. And then the health issues really did it for me. And they're not major health issues, but they're just enough to be uncomfortable. And I know at my best, I can get a lot done. And if I'm running at, I would assume that I've been running at 70% for like 2 years. And I've been able to get a lot done. But then I just keep the thought in my head of like, what does 100% look like? If this is what 70% looks like, and we're accomplishing.
Well, the extra 10% is the gym every day. And then you get a 20% overhead and no pain. It improves every area of your life. And it's only a win. And so, like, you're 30, I'm 40. And whatever those little issues you have then, I also had my little issues, right? They weren't that big of a deal. When you get to 40, they're going to be 10x. And so, look, it's funny. People don't realize, like, you want to focus on the thing that you want the most, like business, and I want to win at this and whatever. But really, it's a holistic picture. Work-life balance, I don't necessarily know if it really exists, but it's all merged. If you don't have all the areas of your life in order, it will affect all the areas of your life. It's super hard to be like, I'm incredible at work and everything is perfect, but then like over here, I'm not, because they affect each other. And so it's really hard to do. Like, it's not easy. As an entrepreneur, it's even more complicated, but I think it's even more necessary. And it's funny, as I get older, like, the answers are obvious. People have been telling me this my whole life, and we all read it everywhere. But when the back pain gets so great that you can't work, sometimes it forces you to do something about it. Preventative care is hard.
Yes, yeah. Because it doesn't matter, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. I can get through it. And it sucks because, like, I come from, and I think a lot of people, this is a generational thing, right? I come from a very rough and tough old school family, like 70 hours a week on a construction site. You have soft hands, like that kind of person. And I made a very conscious decision. My father took me to his construction site to like get me started in the field. And within 2 hours of that day, I was like, this is not what I'm going to be doing. I can tell you, I'm the first person that went to college in my family, first business person. Everybody has done a trade or labor, which is great. But that mentality of that is completely different than like an in-office business. And I think that changes with the culture. And now that I am starting to recruit and hire people that are younger, coming out of college, coming out of high school, I'm starting to see a generational change there. We saw it really big with COVID, with the remote work. We were fully in-house, 300 people in Daytona Beach. And post-COVID, 90% of our staff is remote right now. We have a flexible deal where you can come in, you don't have to. But we found that was a pretty big shift, and that happens. We'll see that I think again in the next generation, and again after that. And as we grow older, you kind of have to change our perspective. But the one thing that stands true the whole time is if you are not healthy and happy, you cannot do your work to the best of your ability, which will just stress you out. And now it's like this compounding thing that you'll never kind of get past.
It builds, before we shift,
Yeah.
I just want to reiterate, like, leading by example from the front line is super important. And in business, that also means being vulnerable enough to show people that you're willing to change and that you're not perfect too, and then to do that in public. And, my business partner, Harrison, has been posting his workout journey on Instagram every day for like over a year. It was a very vulnerable thing for him to do. Our whole team sees it. They know that I've made serious progress too. And showing your team these things and letting them see that you're working on yourself, it allows them, it helps them get the courage for them to do it. And when they start doing it, then you can, then what you'll get is a more high performance team, because they're focused on self-improvement. And that's really where gains come from. My good friend and customer, Manny Zuccarelli over at Quote Velocity, he and Rich on his team, they are super proactive about health with their employees. And I recently did a pod with Manny, and he told me that once they started doing that, their teams actually got much more productive as well, because over time they started to experience the benefits and the happiness of self-improvement, and it bled over into their business. So it can be a really, really powerful thing if you lead and then involve your team in what you're doing.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I could see, and you're about to watch my brain work here. As soon as I start thinking about ideas, I'll like look off to the side and then start spitballing. But I could see a situation where we do like a challenge, monthly challenge, 90-day challenge, incentivize it heavily, make people want to do that. People can see Clint, our owner, is the biggest, coincidentally, the biggest gym freak on the planet. He is humongous. He goes every day. Yeah. And so I see him and I'm like, you really make him. I saw a picture of us next to each other at LeadsCon last year, and I'm like, I look like crap. Just standing next to him, like, I gotta do something. So I cut out soda, lost like 20 pounds just from cutting out soda.
Amazing.
But there's some stuff still needs to be done there. So I think that's some good advice. A lot of people could take that advice. And to your point, a lot of us have heard that advice. We're so hard at it sometimes that it almost takes it hurting so bad or something like that. And if only I could see myself rewinding 10 years from now and being like, if I would have just took the advice when people told me, then I wouldn't have been here to begin with. So now you've been in the pay-per-call space a long time, lead space. That it seems to me that, I've been doing this now for 9 years. It seems to me the space changes every 6 months, could be every year. What did the space look like when you started versus what it looks like now? And is there any difference in the strategies to, you started scaling businesses very quickly, you're able to do that. How have those strategies changed in today's world?
Sure. I mean, affiliate marketing when I started was a totally different world. There was a lot less competition. There was a lot less technology as far as tracking goes, or even the ad platforms. And there were a lot more small companies. And so to run any serious campaigns or to run a serious amount of money, you had to have a lot of campaign diversity, work with a ton of different companies, and it had a different set of challenges. And then over time, technology has improved. There's been a lot of consolidation, and there's a lot more companies like ours now that provide third-party technology that allow people to do things. And so the opportunities today are significantly bigger. There's no question about it. However, it requires technology in a way that didn't when I was in my parents' basement, right? Like my first campaign, I was able to write a little bit of software that helped me do it, and that gave me this massive competitive edge, and I killed that first campaign. It was amazing. However, today, you know, a little piece of software is not gonna do that for you. I mean, people try, they'll make their own software sometimes, but in reality, it's not going to get them the same result as some of the things that exist in the marketplace today. For instance, like if you want to use a Ringba, you're going to need to spend tens of millions of dollars to build it, and then maintain it and understand all the things. And it's just not feasible for people. So people have had to get a lot more comfortable with utilizing technology. Also, you know, in the early days of pay-per-call, the technology wasn't that good. And so people would have to come up with all these clever and creative ways to do routing and optimize. And that was their secret sauce. But today, the biggest people in the space are using things like our real-time bidding and call trading technology that are making automated routing decisions for them. You know, they trust their routing to predictive routing, a Ringba product that will automatically route their calls and make them the most money. And when we released that, it made our customers hundreds of millions of dollars in the first year at no additional cost. And so that, to me, is an amazing piece of technology. We probably should charge for it in retrospect, but that's okay. And but my point here is like the technology will keep improving. And so people today, when they're getting started, they have to get more comfortable with using technology. That technology has costs. It's not all the same. It's certainly not all the same, just like a Ferrari and a Honda are not the same. And I think some people get scared of like, oh, I need click tracking, I need call tracking, I need all these things, and I need to make it work together. And it's true. Like if you're going to get into pay-per-call today or affiliate marketing today, and you don't have any technical skills, or you don't know how to use the software, or you can't afford to hire someone to help you with technical stuff, you're going to have a real hard time. But if you can master the technology and get comfortable with these things, that's really how you win. And you know, we build a lot of cool tech for our clients, but it's really how our clients choose to use it that makes something special for them, that gives them their competitive advantage. So I think technology is the biggest thing that's changed, and it definitely has made things harder, but it also has allowed the opportunities to just be so much bigger. I mean, we just gave our third GOAT award for $100 million away. And when I was an affiliate in my parents' basement, $100 million on a single campaign wasn't something that was really even a thought or possible. Like no one was doing that. And now we have people that are doing over 100 mil on a single campaign in a year. And so that's, but they use a lot of technology, right? And so that's fundamentally the difference between before and now. And I think tech will continue, obviously, to make a really big impact in our industry.
Yeah, I agree. I think the consulting piece of our business kind of came out of nowhere because we have a genius CTO. Everything we do is automated. We don't like manual labor. We can do the work of 50 people with 10. And the consulting piece of our business came up is because we were doing, you know, buying and selling calls, and I was looking at people's setups, and it was so raw. And I'm like, oh, you could be doing so much more. I was like, let me help you. I did it for like 5 or 6 people, and then to your point, I was like, I should probably be charging for this. So I started doing that, and that has gone through the roof, from people that just want help with their Ringba platform, to call centers. Once we started doing that, we're like, well, your call center has a problem here. And then we started building these tech things kind of all the way out, and we've seen these massive skyrockets. And I think that one of the things that I see a lot with people is that they build something with the knowledge that they have or that somebody else has told them, and kind of limit their abilities. Like, our number one thing is, what is your dream scenario? And let me get as close to that as possible.
Mhm.
Stop trying to just put the circle in the circle. I can make the square hole fit if you just give me a little bit of time. And that has completely changed the game for us, and I'm sure for you guys. And you guys are very often will take something somebody says and start to build on. Since we've been working with Ringba, it has changed dramatically over 4 or 5 years, just extra things that have come on that are completely helpful to people. And I think that people get sometimes associated with the cost is not that much. Like, I think that people see people's bills and are like, well, this is how much we spent. But the question is, how much did you generate? And in comparison, it is very minute. Yeah, right. So when I was,
it's funny you mentioned that, not to interrupt. So I speak to clients regularly, and there's usually two flavors. There's one who looks at it as a cost, and there's one that looks at it as a profit center. The guys or gals who look at it as a profit center are running the biggest businesses, and the ones who look at it as a cost they don't like are generally the smaller ones. And I think it's interesting that, I mean, look, Ringba is more expensive than the other platforms available, but the financial results we deliver are much bigger. And at the end of the day, that's what's important to me. And I never want to compete on price. I want to compete on labor and outcome, right? Like, if you give me a little bit more money, what can I do with it? It certainly ain't going in my pocket. I didn't even take a salary until 2021. I'm still one of the lowest paid people at Ringba. Like, it's not going to me, guys. We just hired a ton of more engineers, senior engineers. We hired a lot more support people, user experience people, IT people. And we invest all of that in trying to improve our technology and services for our customers so that you can make more money. And at the end of the day, if I randomly put out software like predictive routing that forces everyone else in the industry to adapt, and it makes our clients hundreds of millions of dollars, like, one day you wake up and you have an extra 3% return on investment that covers your entire Ringba bill and then some. And like you said, over the last 4 or 5 years, that hasn't happened once. Like, we try to do that as much as humanly possible. And in fact, like, I literally was with our team this morning talking about algorithm improvements for predictive routing, and we already see the projected results. It's going to cover people's Ringba bills that are already using it. Like, and so that's why I think with the technology platforms, not just ours, but in general, you have to look at them as partners and a profit center. And if you do that, it really changes how you think about your business and then what you can actually achieve with it.
We work with a lot of companies that see a person as the same as technology. And they're like, well, I'm already paying someone to do that. And I'm like, well, that person can be doing 10 more things, because what you have them doing does not need to be done manually whatsoever. So automation technology is a huge deal. So, I think we've been through a lot. You've given us a ton of advice on kind of how to start a business, the major problems. Tell people where to find you, where to find your book. We'll link it on the bottom of the episode. But anything you want to tell people?
Yeah, so I wrote the paper called Revolution with an amazing team, and it took me 15 months. We spent 6 figures doing it. I will never get an ROI on the book. That's not why I did it. I wanted to share what I have learned over the last 20 years with people in our industry and outside of the industry, so that hopefully they can use it to better their lives and build something that creates opportunity for others. And so many people were generous to me when I was new in the industry, a teenager. They helped me learn and grow and make money and helped me get out of my parents' basement and out of debt, which was really amazing. And I'm grateful for all those people that I met that helped me. And that's why I wrote the book. I want people to read it. I want them to build something. I want them to get better at what they do so that they can make more money, hire more people, do more for their families. And that's really the purpose of it. I think pay-per-call is at the beginning stages, and it will continue to grow. And there's billions of dollars in opportunity there. And I want people to share in that opportunity. The pie is so large, it's unbelievable, and it's still growing. And everything people need to build a business or learn about our industry is in that book. It's like everything that I learned. And if I were starting in the industry today, that's what I would teach myself to get started. And so I highly recommend people read it. You know, it's on Amazon. You just go to Amazon, Pay-Per-Call Revolution. On Kindle, I think it's like $10, which in Miami can't even get you a coffee. So, you know, like spend the $10, read the book, listen to the Audible. I narrated it myself even, or get a hard copy. But I guarantee anyone that reads it will learn something that helps their career or helps their business. And if you don't, just message me. I'll give you your money back. I don't care, but no one's asked for a refund yet. And we have tens of thousands of copies in print. And so I'm just super excited about that because it's going to create businesses, you know, and I've done it before. It's so rewarding. I encourage other people in the space to do it. I put out a class 7 years ago, and one of the people that took that free class that didn't know about our industry actually is getting the third $100 million GOAT award. And so I'm really proud of that. I just love to see it. That's my motivation. And I'm super, super excited about what I've seen already from people reading the book.
Awesome, Adam. It was great having you. We will put this episode up here in a couple of days. To everybody watching, if you're in the pay-per-call space and you're not using Ringba, you should be. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.